I never imagined that after 37 years of marriage, I'd be sitting across from my husband at the kitchen table, unable to meet his eyes. The clock ticked too loudly. The tea in my cup had long gone cold. My fingers twisted the edge of the napkin, fraying it thread by thread, as if I could unravel the past with it. "Margaret," he said finally, his voice quiet but steady, "you've been pacing around all evening. Just say it." The words lodged in my throat. How do you tell the man who has loved you for nearly 4 decades that the foundation of that love was built on a lie? That a single choice, selfish, cowardly, had echoed through both of your lives like a poison? I took a trembling breath. "Robert, I've been keeping something from you. For a long time." His eyes, gray and calm like a winter sea, studied me. "How long?" I looked down at my hands. "Since the first year of our marriage." The silence that followed wasn't just silence. It was a blade hanging in the air between us. We met when we were both 24. He was the kind of man who made people feel safe just by being there. Steady, hard-working, a quiet sense of humor that surfaced when you least expected it. I was ambitious, restless, and already nursing the wounds of a failed engagement that had left me bitter and desperate to start over. Robert had been my anchor then. When he proposed, I didn't hesitate. We married quickly, and within a year I was pregnant, or at least I thought I was certain of the father. But I wasn't. And for 37 years, I never said a word. "Is it about the kids?" he asked now, his voice suddenly taut. "Margaret, what are you saying?" I looked at him, my heart breaking even as the truth forced its way out. "It's about Daniel, eldest. The one who inherited Robert's love for fixing old radios. His habit of humming while he worked. His stubborn sense of justice. The one Robert had coached through baseball games, helped with science projects, and stayed up all night with during chickenpox." I felt the tears spill over. "Robert, he might not be yours." For a moment, his face didn't move. Then, slowly, his jaw tightened. "Might. I don't know for sure. Back then I was seeing someone else. It was over before you and I got married, but the timing." My words trailed off into a choking sob. "I didn't know how to tell you. And then Daniel was born and you were so happy, and I thought, what difference would it make? You loved him. You raised him." His chair scraped back as he stood abruptly, the sound harsh in the still kitchen. He walked to the window, staring out at the dark garden, his hands clenched behind his back. "All these years," he said finally, his voice low, "and you let me believe. I thought I was protecting you," I whispered. "No." He turned, and for the first time in years, his voice rose, sharp and cutting. "You were protecting yourself." The days that followed were worse than I could have imagined. Robert didn't yell, didn't leave, he just retreated. He slept in the guest room. He ate in silence. The space between us became a canyon I couldn't cross. Daniel noticed, of course. He called one night, worried. "Mom, is Dad sick?" He sounded off. I lied. Again. The guilt was a weight pressing on my chest, but a part of me still hoped, selfishly, that Robert would let it go, that the years we'd built would matter more than the crack I'd just exposed. But Robert was not a man who ignored the truth once it was unearthed. 2 weeks later, he handed me an envelope. Inside was a folded sheet of paper. A paternity test request. My breath caught. "You want to know?" "Yes." "I need to know," he said. "If I'm going to live the rest of my life beside you, I can't do it on a lie." His eyes held no anger now, only a grim resolve. That hurt more than his fury. Test took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of walking on glass, of replaying every moment of our marriage, every holiday photo, every whispered goodnight. 3 weeks of watching the man I loved withdraw into a version of himself I barely recognized. When the envelope came, I couldn't bring myself to open it. Robert did. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, my hands clasped tightly as he read the result. His shoulders stiffened. "Well," I whispered. He turned, his face unreadable. "He's mine." Relief crashed over me. Hot, dizzying, almost painful. I took a step forward. Robert, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I was scared. He held up a hand. Stop. Froze. This isn't about Daniel anymore. It's about you. About us. For 37 years I trusted you. I built a life with you. And you. His voice cracked just slightly. You sat with that secret like it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. Cried. It ate at me every day. I hated myself for it. But you were such a good father, such a good man. I didn't want to destroy what we had. He shook his head. You destroyed it the moment you chose to keep it. The months that followed were the hardest of our lives. We went to counseling. We fought. We cried. There were nights I thought he would leave, and part of me almost wanted him to, because the waiting, the half-love, the coldness was worse than any final goodbye. But Robert stayed. Not out of convenience or habit, but because, after all the anger burned away, he still loved me. One rainy evening, almost 6 months after my confession, he came into the kitchen where I sat with my tea. He looked older, lines etched deeper around his eyes, but there was a softness there I hadn't seen in months. I've been thinking, he said, about forgiveness. I held my breath. It's not something you earn once and keep forever. Something you fight for. Every day. He sat across from me, just like the night this all began. I can't forget what you did, Margaret. But I also can't forget the life we've had. The good parts were real. The laughter, the kids, the quiet mornings, they were real. I reached for his hand, and this time he didn't pull away. So where does that leave us? Yes. He gave a small, tired smile. It leaves us with a choice. To start again or to end it. And what do you want? He squeezed my hand, and for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of warmth. I want to try. It's been a year since that night. Our marriage isn't what it was, but in some ways it's more honest than ever. There are scars, yes. There's a grief that will never fully leave us, for the years we lost to a secret I should never have kept. But there is also a quiet, fragile hope. Robert once told me during one of those late-night counseling sessions, that betrayal doesn't just break trust. It breaks the version of yourself that believed you'd never cause that kind of pain. He wasn't wrong. I am not the woman I was a year ago. Neither of us are. But when he holds my hand now, it's not out of habit. It's a choice. And that, I've learned, is far more powerful than any illusion of perfection I once tried to protect. Final reflection. Sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set you free. I confessed because the guilt had become unbearable, but I never expected the storm that followed, or the strange kind of peace that came after. Robert's reaction shocked me beyond words, not because he forgave me easily, but because he chose to stay despite the hurt. Betrayal had cracked the foundation of our marriage, but it hadn't destroyed everything. What we have now isn't the same as what we once had. It's more fragile, more deliberate, and perhaps, in its own broken way, more real.